Good day, folks. My name is Sean, and this is Air Photography. Every year about this time, I like to go over my wish list for the upcoming Hero camera that usually gets released in the fall. If history repeats itself, we should see a new GoPro sometime near the end of September or early October. If they continue the same naming scheme, it should be called the Hero 10 Black, but because it is the number 10, perhaps they'll get a little creative and call it the GoPro Hero X. There's a lot of things I would like to see change with the GoPro and things added, and you also have to remember this is just things that I would like. Everybody has different needs and wants for their GoPros, so what I would like to see on my GoPro could be different from what you would like to see added. And with that said, I'm also a realist, so I don't expect to have the features and quality of a $5,000 camera in a small $400 action camera. So to start off, the first thing is something that I hope they don't do, and that is change the form factor. With the Hero 8 Black, we had a new form factor, and then again with the Hero 9. So that was 2 generations in a row that they've changed. Of course, it's always exciting to get a new product with some major changes, but the problem with that is when GoPro changes the form factor, some hardware, some accessories no longer work. For example, when they went from the 7 to the 8, and then again from the 8 to the 9, you had to purchase a lot of the standard accessories such as waterproof housings, ND filters, cases, batteries, and chargers. So that can get quite costly, and if GoPro does indeed release a Hero 10 this year, I'm hoping I don't have to replace all that equipment again. Especially when it comes to things like the media mod. Like many people, I purchased a media mod for the Hero 8, and then I had to purchase another one when they released the Hero 9 Black. So hopefully they keep the same form factor, so some of that gear will still be compatible. So as for new features I would love to see on the Hero 10 Black, the first I would love to see is optical image stabilization. Right now GoPro uses electronic image stabilization, and it is actually pretty incredible. The Hyper Smooth that was introduced on the Hero 9 Black is almost like magic, and it works quite well. But there are some situations where it doesn't work, especially when you get into low light situations. And that could be as simple as being under a canopy of trees. Sometimes when the light gets really low, the image quality really starts to fall apart. And that's partly to do with the electronic image stabilization, but also the small sensor. So by adding something as simple as optical image stabilization, maybe kind of a hybrid of the two, that should really improve stabilization in low light situations. With the Hero 9 Black, they introduced 5K video, and that's perfectly fine by me. I don't really see the need to go any higher than that. I know some people would like to see 8K or even 6K, but for myself, I really don't have a need for that high resolution video. But with that said, what I would love to see is some higher frame rates. I would love to see the 4K video go up to 120 frames per second, and even 1080 at 480 frames per second. That would make for some pretty incredible slow motion. Now the next couple things I would like to see are to do with the back touchscreen. The first thing I would like to see is them make it full screen. There's lots of real estate for them to work with, so I would love to see it a little bit bigger. Having a bigger screen will perhaps draw a little bit more power, but with a bigger screen it would make changing settings on the fly a lot easier. And that goes into my next wishlist item. I really hope that they improve the touchscreen capability. Unresponsive touchscreens have kind of plagued the Hero 9 since it was first released, and GoPro has released several firmware updates to help correct the issue, and they have really greatly improved it. In fact, we just got another update a couple weeks ago, and I do believe that did enhance it quite a bit, but it's still a little bit clunky and fidgety sometimes. It could be a combination of the touchscreen hardware or even the CPU inside, but whatever it is, I hope they figure it out for the Hero 10 Black. And that kind of leads into the next wishlist item, and that's a faster processor inside. I believe it was the Hero 7 where they introduced the GP1 processor, and I do think we're due for something a little bit more powerful. I think with that extra power, GoPro could do a lot more. Many thought we were going to get a GP2 last year, but turns out that wasn't the case, so maybe this will be the year that we get the GP2. Another nice feature I would love to see with it is HDR video. That's something that GoPro hasn't introduced yet, which is kind of surprising. It seems to be a standard on all smartphones. Even most drones now offer some form of HDR video. It's not something that everybody would be interested in, but I definitely think it has a place within a GoPro. Another feature I would love to see, and I've included this in some of my past wishlist videos, and that's bracketed photos. I love taking bracketed photos, which is basically a version of HDR, but you have to do all your own processing. These GoPros are fully capable of HDR photos, but it does all the processing in the background. A lot of people like to process their own HDR photos in things like Lightroom or Photomatix. That way you can control all the aspects. The way GoPros do it, it does it automatically for you. It'll take its 3 exposures and then merge them automatically for you. I would love to see the option where it would just take the 3 bracketed photos and leave them on the memory card, and that way I could process them myself later. Now the next 2 items kind of go hand in hand, and I know a lot of people would like to see a larger sensor on the GoPro, perhaps a 1-inch sensor. Now of course I would love that too, but only if GoPro could do it properly. Insta360 launched that 1-inch mod last year, and it's actually quite good. I was actually very impressed with it. Problem is, it's not good for every situation. When you're trying to capture things at a high rate of speed, a lot of movement, the picture quality wasn't that great. I found something like a GoPro or even the Insta360's 4K mod did a better job in those situations. So definitely I would only like to see GoPro introduce a 1-inch mod if they can do it properly, and the image quality is going to stay solid no matter what kind of content you're shooting. And that goes into the next thing I would love to see, and I'm sure many people would like to see, and that is better low light performance. GoPros have never been known for great low light performance, but when I look at something like my iPhone and its small little camera, it takes incredible photos and videos even in almost dark conditions. So there's got to be a way that GoPro can increase that performance. Now another thing I would love to see GoPro do this year, and that is somehow build in the features of the Max Lens mod. I really enjoy using the Max Lens mod. I love the extra field of view, but I would love to see it built in somehow, and that way you don't have to take the lens on and off if you want to go back to standard field of views. So that would be nice if GoPro could somehow figure out how to build it in and have that full 360 horizon leveling without having to use the Max Lens mod. Now another feature I think would be very popular, and I mentioned this last year as well, I would love to see some kind of wireless charging capabilities. Sometimes the way you use your GoPros, it's kind of a pain to pull the battery out, and especially when they don't last that long. It'd be nice if they could somehow use these fingers and utilize them somehow with wireless charging. That would open up the gate for a lot of accessories like power handles. Something like the Shorty could have a little battery built into it and give your GoPro extra power. And it would be so much more convenient instead of having to plug it in all the time, just to set it on a pad or some kind of charging dock. Now the next thing here is more to do with the media mod and not the GoPro itself. There's a couple things I would love to see GoPro do with this. The first thing I would like to see is some really good professional microphones in there. With the Hero 8 media mod and the Hero 9 media mod, I've never been overly impressed when using the built-in microphone. In some cases, the microphones in the GoPro itself sound a little bit better. Now of course that could make the price go up a little bit, so that could be an issue as well. Other than that, I've been generally pleased with the media mod. The way I usually use it is with my Wireless Go, or Wireless Go 2 I should say, and I just plug it in there like that. And, it's very convenient. The media mod works well, keeps everything nice and compact. But that leads me into the next point. I think GoPro could implement some kind of wireless microphone into the media mod. If you're familiar with DJI's Osmo Pocket, the Pocket 2 that they released earlier this year, that was something interesting that they did when they released the Pocket 2 is they added a wireless microphone. It's a very simple setup. For the most part, it sounds not too bad. And I think that's something GoPro could implement with the media mod and make it a little bit more appealing to people. A lot of people have wanted wireless microphones for quite some time. If they can build the receiver into the media mod and then have a separate transmitter like this one here with a dead cat on it, I think a lot of people would be quite happy with that. Even if they had to pay a little bit more to offer two different versions, one with wireless microphone capabilities and one without. Now the last item on my Hero 10 Black wish list doesn't really have so much to do with the GoPro, but the GoPro app, which is now called the Quick app. I would love to see better time-lapse tools built in. I film a lot of time-lapses on my GoPro, and for the most part I'm a mobile editor. I don't really edit too much on a computer anymore. I edit on my iPad Pro or my iPhone. It can be really challenging just even assembling a basic time-lapse. It takes up a lot of space and a lot of files to transfer over, so it'd be really nice to see some really good time-lapse tools built into the Quick app. Tools for easy assembly, maybe some basic editing. I think a lot of people, especially if you're just a casual GoPro user, you perhaps don't want to do a lot of editing in Lightroom, I think they would appreciate tools like that. Now with my Hero 10 Black wish list out of the way, let's talk about the GoPro Max. I have a feeling we're going to see a new GoPro Max this year. Perhaps it'll just be called the GoPro Max version 2. It's been 2 years since the first one was released, so it's due for a refresh. I don't really have a lot that I would change with it. I think the quality is actually pretty good. With it, I would just like to see some changes within the Quick app again. When you take a look at something like the Insta360 app for the Insta360 One X2, it is leaps and bounds ahead of what you can do with the GoPro app. So I'd like to see GoPro add some extra tools in the app. Now, another thing I would like to see with a new version of the Max, I would love to be able to film in 4K when in Hero mode. For me, if they released a new Max with 4K Hero mode, I'd probably never use a GoPro again. I would have that as my everyday go-to camera. I could shoot like a traditional GoPro if I wanted, or film in 360. I would even be happy if they could up it to 2.7K. Well folks, that's basically my wish list for the Hero 10 Black in the GoPro Max. I would love to hear what features you would like to see. Let me know down in the comments of this video. I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got some value out of it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.